Welcome to Comfortable Conversations. I'm your host, Jazz Kirk, where we dive into the greatest gift life can offer you, discomfort. Today, I have Alex Martin, who is a marketing mogul, I'm going to say, because this guy has a work ethic that when you all think about working hard, a lot of times people look at the word hustle and bustle, but working hard isn't just for your job, it isn't just for money. It really showcases your discipline, your preparation, your perseverance. And I think, Alex, you showcase that so well. Like, you're working, but you're also growing. And that's so like everything I feel from you. Whenever I see you, I'm like, he has a goal, he's reaching it, right? But you're becoming it within. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And that means a lot to me because I think the stage I'm in now is that it used to be busy, like busy. And now I'm like, all right, what am I producing? Right?
Okay.
Being productive, being intentional.
Yeah.
Like now I want every move I make to help me grow,
Yeah.
to take me somewhere, for there to be a result. Because at one point in time, when I tell you, I just thought if you're busy, then you're moving forward.
Yeah.
But sometimes being busy can make you stagnant.
Yeah. I think I tell people all the time, like when they're like, Jazz, I know you're busy. I'm like, no, I'm not. I don't aspire to be busy.
Yeah.
I don't just aspire to have a lot of to-dos and things to do and be overworked or overwhelmed.
Yeah.
I aspire to be hardworking. I aspire to be intentional. I aspire to prioritize the things. And so there is a huge shift that comes when you're like, busy, don't offend me with that,
Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
So my first question, to know this person who's like, I'm working hard to be this amazing, and I say marketing because yes, you're a cameraman, but you're not all of that. You're the guy behind the scenes, but you also step in front of the camera to help educate and impact. And you also empower individuals to know that they can step in front of the camera and be seen. So my first question for you is, what discomfort led you to be this person sitting here, to be that person who is educating, impacting, and inspiring?
That's a good question. I would really say I was always into the whole motivational theme of things, right? And even then, from a marketing perspective, a preface to me being the photographer / content creator that I am now, I was actually doing marketing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's always been one of those things for me where growing up, I was the guy that was like, I could be on the scene, but be behind the scenes as well. So I've been blessed with that talent. But I've always been a caring person as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if me and you working together, I'm like, hey, I think you should do this, and here's why.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the thing I try to educate people on is we all can do the whole content creation in some type of way.
Yeah.
We got to market ourselves, and let's be real, you know, the thing that I feel like a lot of people miss the mark on is that technology is moving fast,
Yeah.
right? This is not the 90s, the 2000s, or even then it wasn't, you know, it's not the 2010 era,
Yeah.
right? We're in 2024. And even then, when you think about it in general, technology has changed so much from 2021 and 2020. It's like I see certain people, I'm like, why are you still marketing like it's COVID era?
Yeah.
We're in
How
a whole
can
new
you
era.
embrace technology and not be scared of it? And so you shared you have a background in marketing.
Mm-hmm.
Where did you go to school for marketing? Like, where did the passion come from?
So I did music before marketing.
Okay.
I was a music artist. And I don't know. You know how some things are just naturally in you?
Yeah.
I'm one of those people where if it's naturally in me, I like to lean on it.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so uh, around that time, this is 2009, 2010. I was doing music, and really from 2009 to 2013. Yeah, it's 2013. I was doing music, and we're talking before the whole, even before SoundCloud blew up to be what it was going to
Okay.
be. I was the guy that was embracing the internet. We're talking like, you know how everybody got their albums and all the,
Yeah.
I was doing singles,
Okay.
and we were talking 27,000 downloads
Okay.
strictly off of, like, I didn't even use YouTube like that at that time. I was using all the other sites, and uh, creatively, it's just naturally in me, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, moving forward, that led to marketing because my boss at the time was like, hey, if you can do that same thing with music, I know you can do it with law.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what?
Maybe I
Let's try.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And from there, by the grace of God, you know, it led to other opportunities.
So it sounds like early on
Mm-hmm.
you one realized like your God gifted
Mm-hmm.
the gifts that God gives you, like, okay, I'm good at this, I lean towards this is purposeful. You've always sounded like you've been a creative and had that visionary kind of eye, because it's like to be the talent, you always were the talent but also on the other side of it. So because sound, I don't know the intricacies of SoundCloud and all of that, but learning those systems and technologies, it's like they weren't the easiest.
No, most definitely. Most definitely. You got to experiment too, right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing I think a lot of us fear as human beings is like this whole failure aspect of it, right? I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to give it up instead of going, hey, let me go harder into it
Yeah.
and see what I pull from it,
Yeah.
you know?
So you, when failure presented itself, you leaned in.
I
It's
lean
like
in.
fail fast and fail hard, and you're like, okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's going to be all right. You
yeah,
know, every storm will pass,
yeah,
right? And you can choose to stay in the storm and grow,
yeah,
right? Or you could leave the storm immediately, and then when the next storm comes, you don't know how to survive it,
yeah.
you know?
It's there. The obstacle, the storm is there for a reason for you to go through it. Like you have to get through it, and you want to learn the lesson to get through it, because if you don't, it's coming back around, and you don't want to be like, here's the same storm and
Facts.
here's my same reaction and here's my same quit. Like it real fear, it's funny because it's not really as scary as we make it. It's like a bridge that's either you go just step on this side of new opportunity, or you step on that side and you're just like, I'm going to keep doing things the old way.
Right.
And that is what it is, you
Right.
know?
Yeah. Your test to become your testimony.
Yeah.
Simple
Okay.
as that.
So now you've, at an earlier age, you kind of looked at fear and failure as just, what do I say? It's the no, the not yets. It's the help of refinement. Sometimes I look at the no's and failures as like, just don't do it that way. That's it. And you were an artist, then this opportunity comes where someone's like, hey, if you could do that, you want to try it over here. And you were like, yes.
Yeah. And literally, so in that case, I literally was about to jump into real estate at that time
Okay.
in Houston. And so before I did it, my manager at that time, who is, and it's not really my manager, that's the funny thing about it. He's like the complete boss of the company,
Okay.
which is my dad.
Okay.
And so I was like, hey, man, I'm about to go into this real estate thing. And I think he was nervous about it. So
Yeah.
that was his way of, quote unquote, trying to shield me. But
Yeah.
I've naturally, you know, the best way to put it is I'm the guy that's like, hey, I'm going to try something and figure it out. so so that was his way of pulling me back to Dallas.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm building this marketing team for the firm. Get involved.
So
And
your dad, you say boss earlier, but it really was your dad. Do you feel like your dad has helped either mentor you? And yeah, our parents, some people have parents who are their idols and others don't necessarily, but do you feel like your dad became this mentor and he also saw something in you? Because some people don't have that blessing where their parents see something in them and have created the opportunity for you to do it. Like, it's one thing to be like, hey, you should do marketing. It's another to say, hey, son, I've created this space for you to come, try, fail, do. This is a safe space.
it's a funny thing because this is gonna sound crazy. I'm
Okay.
gonna let you know this right now up front. I'm truly in a space of, I call it leading, right? When you lead your own path, are you creating your own way, right?
Yeah.
Or are you doing what life tells you to do?
Right.
You could be following behind life and be like a leaf in the wind,
Yeah.
right? That leaf is going to end up somewhere just because life is pushing it.
Yeah.
So in that case, to answer your question, I think the marketing part was beneficial. He saw gold there.
Yeah.
Alex knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
This could help me,
Yeah.
right? Instead of it being,
Okay.
well, what does Alex want to do?
Yeah, I got you.
How can I help him do what he wants to do? Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah, it does.
And that's relationships.
Well, that's also cool that you were able to keep your identity and you knew what you wanted, that you did want to make sure you were trailblazing your own way and staying true to you.
Yeah. But it didn't come until recently,
Okay.
right? Like literally in that moment I followed,
Right.
right? For so many years I followed. And I think that's where 2019 comes into play, and I have no choice but to create my own destiny.
Okay.
And now I'm entering another chapter of that now.
So what does create 2019 break it down for us, like creating your own destiny? What did that mean for you during that time? Was there an obstacle that was presenting itself to you that you're like, no, I gotta step out?
Yeah, I'll give you the complete story. So 2016, I started my own business.
Okay.
It's a mobile trucking company, mobile advertisement, marketing,
Right.
right? I start that and I fail. I'm
Okay.
talking Wolf of Wall Street behavior. No drugs, It's a lot of alcohol though.
Okay.
No
You was
hardcore
making
drugs.
money and you was blowing it fast.
I was blowing it. Okay. And I had to, build a new identity, which was picking up a camera.
Okay.
Our media guy at the firm at that time was very slow.
Yeah.
I had an iPhone. I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, this is how we're going to get the media content out there faster. Let's just use these.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, what's beneficial for the firm, the guy who's moving faster.
Yeah.
Alex, I think you should take the camera stuff serious.
Yeah.
I'm not taking it serious, but I'm like, you know what? I'm going to take it serious for them
Yeah.
because it's, I'm going to keep my job, right? So fast forward, I get fired from the firm.
Okay.
Yeah, by my own dad. And he was like, you going to figure it out. To myself, I ain't got no choice.
Right. Like, thanks. I do have to move forward. I don't I gotta figure out plan B.
I have no choice.
Yeah.
I got suspended for something that happened outside of the firm.
Okay.
But I was the knucklehead. Like I said, I was Wolf of Wall Street.
But so did you start to then realize like I know a lot of people are like, this is what I do, but I also can be this like they're on two sides, and it's like both worlds are you're in one world, and you have to realize how you're representing yourself at all times. And then so early on you're learning, like, though they're really hard lessons, you're learning like, okay, I can't be Mr. Wolf on Wall Street out here going crazy, which in the movie everyone's like, bro, you cannot be doing this.
Yeah.
There's consequences here.
Right.
But you're learning these lessons not privately, publicly, if it, like, hard things are happening.
Yeah. And literally, as you learn those lessons, and then when you pay the price, right? There's consequences behind it. That consequence for me at that time was you just lost your job, player.
Yeah.
Your only source of income.
Yeah.
So, I got my camera. I called up 3 people. It was Les, the realtor, right? One of them. Another guy named Kirk Lee.
Okay.
And then an influencer named Brandy Vaughn. These were the people I would shoot as my hobby before I got fired. They go, Alex, give this thing a year and just see what happens. So I'm like, bet. And ironically, you want to know the date?
Yeah.
October 22nd.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So 2019, I give it about a week. And I'm filling out resumes, creating my own resume, which I haven't touched in like 10 years at that point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, you just got fired by your dad. If you give somebody else another chance to fire you, you're crazy.
Wait. We're going to have this moment because a lot of people can't get, like, granted, your parents aren't mad at you, but when your parent got to fire you, like, how do you show up to the family dinner, family barbecue after that? Like,
oh, man. It took me, I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm one of them people, I'm very loyal.
Yeah.
So I'm the guy, I don't think I did Christmas with them that year, right?
You felt the way.
I felt the way for about a year and a half.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's understand. Like, one, being fired is traumatic.
Yeah.
Then you added being fired by my dad. That was like childhood traumas. Just like therapy just got really interesting.
Right. Yeah. It literally. But then the thing I will say is you look in the mirror, right? Because I can't curse. I was the problem child.
Okay.
Not necessarily with him in our relationship. It was with the firm.
You got to actually have a mirror show you, and you were like, I don't like what I see.
Yeah.
And I got to make a change, and I got to be accountable.
And you know what helped?
What?
COVID. Quarantining.
Oh, okay.
It gave
So
you a lot of time to
quarantine
think.
gave you this opportunity to go inward, work on yourself.
Yeah.
Work on your skill set, this new skill set that you're like, it was a hobby before. Now you're forced into, okay, I think I got 3 friends that I could see. Let me see something. Because it definitely sounds like that work ethic has always been there, and how quickly you pivot also. Though you can have whatever feelings and emotions, but you've also learned to quickly pivot. And then now COVID happened. You have your 3 clients.
And even then, they weren't even clients. They were just friends.
Okay.
Right? I feel like sometimes you got to ask questions to those that surround you. You need perspective.
Right.
And if people are booking you for, I don't know, for whatever skill it may be, and then you go, all right, that's 3 people. Maybe I could turn that 3 into 10.
Yeah.
And then, like I said, I had a lot of time to think. So even before they shut down the government,
Yeah.
I took a solo vacation, it was to Miami at that time. And they gave me, all right, I know what I want to do. I know what I need to do. I know the life I want.
Yeah.
So you do all that, and then you're like, this whole shutdown thing happens. Now you got to lean in even more because you just survived 4 months
Yeah.
living. I didn't get evicted. I'm in a luxury high rise at the time. This is paying my bills.
Yeah.
All right, then bet. Let me make this. Let me see how far I could take this.
Let's take it serious.
A whole lot
Like
serious.
before, it was like,
A hobby.
this is a hobby. It's fun. I think a lot of times creatives, they look at the thing that's a hobby or effortless. They don't associate being paid well for it. And sometimes you do look like what makes me money can be effortless. I can actually like it. And it can help create the life that I actually want. My auntie always says, Jazz, you don't have to lose to win. Like, you don't always have to go down. You didn't have to lose your apartment, get evicted or anything. You had good foundation within you. Sometimes you got to do a little cleanup. which that's what it sounded like you needed.
Yeah.
But you didn't have to completely demolish everything and start from scratch.
Yeah, nah, and you don't, and I agree with that. You gonna bump your head, but as long as you can see yourself, like I was telling my homeboy at that time, he was in Houston, and I was just at his place. This is November 2019. I said, I don't know, man. Maybe I'm delusional, but I'm gonna make this work.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, I just feel it.
Yeah.
And fast forward, I'm working with the tops in their industries, you know? So I'm like, okay.
But that, now that you say fast forward, but I think hearing your story and people who may listen to this, like, they don't realize how intentional it takes to get to when you're working with the bigger names and things. Like, it's 2024. That was 2019. You had to do some self-discovery, self-exploration, really hone in and define, who am I?
Right.
What do I want? And get clear. And now you see how, like, even how we started, you were like, I became intentional.
Yeah.
Like, busy? No, I don't want to be busy. I saw what that got me when I was living Wolf on Wall Street life.
Yeah.
I was busy, but I was busy here and I was busy doing all this other stuff. So
Right.
it really starts to speak to, like, you sharpen yourself as you go and you refine and you give yourself grace to reinvent yourself. Like, you don't like something? Cool. That's okay. Just change it. You have the grace to pivot, and it sounds like you pivot real, like you're ready. Like, when it's time to pivot, you're like, let's go.
Yeah, because your life is a book, right? You control the chapters. And you can make that chapter whatever you want it to be. You know, I'm entering a new season now. I'm like, okay, I ain't gonna talk about my plans publicly, but all right, Alex, you got to make some changes, dude. You know, it's like before we turned on the mics. Hey, look, I need to start projecting.
Yeah.
You know, I want people to take me a lot more serious than what they currently are.
Yeah.
How does that work? A couple of things I got to work on.
Yeah.
So, you know, point being is that you can control your chapters. You write your own book, not people.
Yeah.
You do. It's your book.
You write the page, you turn the page, you end the chapter, you start a new chapter. Like, you
Everything.
are the publisher. You are the author, publisher, everything. Like, write your story.
So why would you let somebody else write it for you?
Yeah. Yeah. That does sound, I like that. Like, and
seriously.
don't let anybody else be the person who reads the book. Like, you got to read your own book.
How do you judge you? Right?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I'm like, when I judge the best version of me, it doesn't look like me right now.
Yeah.
You know, so that's the space I'm in.
Okay. But you're always leveling up. I definitely want to go back to 2019. You started with friends that became clients. Not everybody gets that opportunity because, you know, sometimes friends are like, yeah, we support you, but then they don't necessarily show up. But now you have. Do you also feel like the clients you had saw the value in what you were doing and it benefited both of you?
Yeah, but it goes back to intention, right?
Yeah.
You know, literally, the friends I called at that time, they were the ones where I was like, hey, I'm just going to show up, take pictures. I think you should do it like this. Let's see what happens. And they saw a benefit from it. My eye was just that thing. But the I guess what I'm saying too is you got to be intentional. I feel like I'm one of them people where it's like I won't interact with you unless I know it's value I'm bringing to the table. Like I don't go out and not try to chip in on the bill.
Yeah.
Right? I'm just that person. So I always believed in bringing value to a table.
Okay.
So when I walk away, they remember me.
Okay. I like that. Yeah. You gonna remember Jazz.
Yeah.
You can remember Alex.
Yeah.
Like, you're like, dang. That's pretty dope. So as you're building your client list in this fairly new space. I want to say you're not new to marketing, but you're new to going out on your own, the content creation essentially. What did that, and this is when fear came, fear you had already said, like, I'm going to step forward, I'm always going to try. How did that, how do you become the person who gets fired from your job and your dad has to do it to the person who's like always booked, always?
You giving me too many props. But
I'm gonna give you your listen. I'm always gonna give people their flowers now, and like people give me mine.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, we're always looking at the next goal.
Right,
And
right.
we're always reassessing ourselves. And it's the small things. Like how you see yourself is more critical than how I see you. Vice versa. How you see me, I'm more critical than how someone else would see me. Right. But it's like, it's such a beautiful thing to be able to pour into people with the words, because you never know what they're dealing with, that becomes the reassurance. I remember when my brother passed, people didn't know, like people would tell me I'm so inspiring and so motivating, and every night I would go home and cry and be like, why are they lying to me? Why do all these people keep telling me I'm inspiring and motivating? And then I felt like when I finally started to feel like I am inspiring, I am motivating, I was like, God, thank you for sending the people who kept reassuring me when I kept doubting myself, and you didn't need me to keep doubting myself. You needed me to receive it.
Right.
And so that's why I'm always like, this is what I see.
Yeah, yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but I see mogul. So I'm going to call you mogul. And if you're not there yet, you get to it. Like,
yeah,
you know?
that mean a lot to me. Yeah, and that's real, because it's back to the whole leaning in, right? Sometimes life will throw those signs at you. And it's like, why not? Why not be booked and busy? You know what I'm saying? Because that's, for me, that's how I stay out of trouble, right?
Yeah.
Like, there was a book that I read by Grant Cardone called Be Obsessed or Be Average. And the thing was, he used to be an addict.
Yeah.
And he ended up going to rehab, changing his habits, which forced him to lean into the whole, I feel like he's a workaholic.
Yeah.
I'm like, Alex, that's what you are. Embrace it. And
Yeah.
even then, I'm realizing too, the 1%ers are the people who are just busy,
Yeah.
and that's my whole thing. I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and try to fill up this calendar as much as possible.
But you're busy from a stance of like the things you want to do, the things that are helping advance you, the things that are sharpening who you are and what you want, who you're becoming. Like it's not just busy. Like you don't do everything. If someone reaches out to you and says, "Hey, Alex, can you work on this?" You're still intentional within that being unavailable.
It's back to the book, right? Your business, your brand. Now, who do you want calling you 3 months from now, 6 months from now?
Yeah.
You got to control that narrative right now.
Yeah.
Because if you accept any and everybody, then you really can't. I feel like you can't build a business like that.
Yeah.
And granted, there are going to be times where you need the money and you need that. As long as it doesn't compromise with your values, you're good. But keep that under the table.
Yeah.
Everything don't have to be put out there.
Yeah.
And that's how I move.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, look, I'm gonna do some shoots where it's like that don't necessarily fit my brand, and in those cases, that is like, I'll give you an example, kids party.
Yeah.
I get baby fever, so I'm like, I gotta stay away.
Really, ladies.
Yeah,
Alex said he gets baby fever. I'm just playing.
For real. All I need is 60 seconds. No. But
in the back, you're like, oh my God, that kid is so. You don't see a lot of men be like, that kid is so cute. I can't wait.
I'm old enough now, so I'm like, you know what? I could take me a junior.
Yeah. Okay.
So literally, I took on a kids party recently, but she was a client or lawyer, and I was like, I'll make this exception.
But it's a prior client that you already have a relationship with that's in your lane. Now this is someone who feels comfortable with you enough to bring you into something even more personal for them.
Right.
That they're like, I wouldn't. That kind of speaks to you.
It's mind blowing.
Yeah.
It's mind blowing. Like, I mean, to capitalize on that, one of the top comedians in the nation
Yeah.
took me on a personal trip around his daughter.
Yeah.
That was so mind blowing for me that I was like, yo, the amount of trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because let's be honest. Let me ask you this. Have you ever seen yourself in these rooms that you're currently in? Because you're a mover and a shaker. You know,
Shh, don't tell the people.
I gotta spread the word. But you're a mover and a shaker.
Yeah.
Did you imagine yourself 16, 20 years old, meeting the type of people that you're meeting today?
I think a little bit, yes.
Okay.
Like something always in me was like, you're meant for something, but I could never put my finger on it. And then people would, like how people saw me, I always felt the rooms that I occupy now, I'm like, okay, oh my God. But before that, I would be in rooms and like, example, the first company out of college I worked at, the CEO like walked in the room and he was like, Jazz, it's something about you that when you're in a room, people want to know who you are. And I was like, the CEO is saying this to me. Mm-hmm. And I'm 22, 23, 24 years old. I was like, I don't know what that means. But I had people like always tell me that. And then I remember my best friend, you know how you're younger, you have corporate work parties and stuff. She would always like invite me to like be like, hey, come to my work party. Just say you work for the company. Just don't talk to the CEO, Jazz. Mm-hmm. Just don't talk to the CEO. But every time I get in a room, like people, like my energy attracts that. Mm-hmm. So I was like, literally for the entire like work event, that is not my company. Yeah. But I showed up. I'm like, we're going to eat free. We're going to drink free. We're going to have a time. And she, like the CEO ends up being like, hey, I've been trying to introduce myself to you. And this is another moment that I'm like, what is your energy? So I had to start leveling up and embracing like something about you is attracting people who have made a certain level that you're not just a receptionist or you're not just like an assistant or a specialist. You are more than that. So how do you step into being more?
Right.
And now, yeah, I do. I get to be in some really dope rooms. Yeah. With some really dope people who got a whole lot of money.
Yeah.
And I also am like, okay, I'm not there yet, but I take in everything because I'm like, you're here for a reason.
Right.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you the truth. That's why I like, yo. But when I see you, initially, ironically, backstory, a lot of people don't know we would run past each other on the same street, McKinney Ave.
Yeah.
And, she a hustler.
Yeah. I get that. Even our concierge, like, always is like, you're dedicated and disciplined. And I take so much honor and, like, pride in hearing someone say, like, you're disciplined because I see your consistency.
Right.
Because years ago, I didn't have that level of consistency. Years ago. Mm-hmm. But now I really embrace consistency. Whatever I start, I'm like, how do I create a pattern of this that can sustain me?
Right.
Like, I think even when you talk about content creation, like people go into it, but like, what pattern do you have to set? Because you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows. You're going to have the times you want to do it. You're going to have the times you don't. You're going to have the times where it turned out good, and you're going to have the times that it doesn't. But your consistency across the board is like what drives you. And I think you talk about that all the time.
Yeah, because can you show up at a low the same way you would show up for a high? And can you show up for a high the same way you would at your lowest?
Yeah.
And
same level of enthusiasm.
Same level of enthusiasm. Can people not feel what you're going through?
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, granted, we all got our days and our moments. You know, we just want to break down and be like,
I don't want to do it today. Throw it up, flip the table. I just want to lay in the bed and cry and watch Netflix and eat stuff I ain't got no business eating.
right. And literally, you still have to go in there, smile, do what you got to do, and handle your business. And I think, like you said, that level of consistent, and then maybe that's what working out helps out with too,
Yeah.
because that is, you do feel pain, you know, and you still like, let me thug this out.
Yeah, like I didn't want to do that. Like not every workout I show up to personally am I like, yay. Some days I'm like, we gonna get her done.
What?
We gonna get her done. And then after I'm like, you felt amazing.
Right.
So I can't skip this. But
Can't.
also the version of who I currently am and the version of who I am becoming, this is what she does.
Looking forward.
So you know,
Yeah.
you gotta do that. So consistent. So you brought up like exercise, health is important to you.
Yeah.
So how does that play into business? How does that play into how you show up? How does that play into how you, because you are on the move all the time. So that is really important.
Right. So yeah, the best way to put it is, this is just my mindset. So don't nobody judge me. What would the best version of you do?
Yeah.
What would they eat? How would they perform? Right. So like, you know, on the health side, I'm thinking about getting some blood work done,
Yeah.
just so I can know how I need to eat. Right.
Okay.
And then the one thing I noticed with the high performers, they don't have an average diet, which is why they perform the way that they perform.
Yeah.
So let me go ahead and eat the best way that I should. Like, I know I can't be vegan because I get cloudy. You know what I'm saying? It's things like that. So,
But you know who you are and what can sustain you. That's why I bring up that sustain, because it's like, yeah, you can do it, but can you do it over long periods of time? It's the marathon race. A lot of people can run a 5K different than the pace that you run the marathon. The point is like that's the journey. And all the work in it. It's not, can I be vegan for 30 days, but then I become vegan and then I'm like 80% vegan, then 20%, like 80-20.
Right.
It's like, no, you sound like you're going all in of like, what specifically does Alex need to do to be the best version of Alex? So let me educate myself on what is best for my body. There is enough technology out here to actually let me know what works for my body, what doesn't work for my body. Why do I feel like this? Why don't I feel like that? And that is really awesome to hear that you're doing that, because then you'll be able to educate people on the back end of that. Like, when you get to this next level, they're like, what'd you do? Well, hey, I changed these aspects.
right. And even then, I'm pretty sure you feel the same way. The stage of life that you're in, you're constantly learning. You don't even try to learn.
Yeah.
But yet you're like, what does that do?
Yeah.
You asking questions. Like, for me now, I want to watch TV, but I keep watching documentaries in the news. That's watching TV to me now.
Yeah.
I'm trying to learn. And I feel like that's the thing that makes it, you know, that's what makes you better.
Yeah. I went to a networking event, and it was for like the 1%. And one of the panelists and the speakers shared like, always be learning. And when I say like 1%, these were professional athletes, investors, people who have, what do you call that? Restaurateurs who have franchises, and they're sitting up there like, you should always be learning.
Right.
Like someone there said like, Mark Cuban is always reading a book or reading something. And I was like, well, the articles that come through my email, I probably should just give it a quick glance. But you will give Instagram a quick scroll. Actually, people be doing a long scroll,
Right.
but you won't take 2 minutes to read that quick article that updates you on this, or you won't look at that 2-minute clip. It really is like 2 seconds of your time,
Right.
and you've learned something. Like I learned this refrigerator brand recently is now making cold plunges. Like they're going from the refrigerator space, not just refrigerator, like appliance, kitchen appliance
Yeah.
space to baths, and they're actually doing cold plunges for the home. And I was like, that is so cool. Like people
For
don't
real.
know that, but I've now learned, like, you know, to get to where you're going, like you do, not that I'm going to become this expert on all things, but I can start to just learn little things. And that also helps me know, like, okay, as I have my brand, look at how a brand that's kitchen is going into the bath space, and not just any bath space, like cold plunging wellness, and making a name for themselves. That, like, it reminds you, like, anybody could do anything if they wanted.
Right. No, for real. And literally, like, I'm pretty sure you got an idea.
I did. I like literally, I was like, oh my God. And it made me remember, like, oh, please always be reading, stay up on stuff.
Right.
Because it's not, when you're trailblazing, there's nothing in front of you. I always tell people when I'm running, I started running where there was not necessarily the road paved, because mentally I was like, where you're going, it hasn't been paved.
Right.
You've reached the capacity of where people have shown you how it's done. You can have guides, you can have mentors, but the road you're paving, it's dirt.
Right. Yeah.
And your consistency and your footprint will create the path.
Right.
And then when you look back, you'll be like, hey, that's where to put the cement. You know,
Right.
so.
Now it makes sense. And literally, you creating your own wave at that point. It's no traffic when you're in your own lane.
None. Absolutely none.
So why not? You know?
It's bliss. It's beautiful. You're like, that's cute.
Yeah.
They're not doing what I'm doing.
Right.
We're doing two separate things.
Yeah.
Don't
And
compare us.
tunnel vision.
Yeah.
You know, that end result, which is the whole goal, you know. So, yeah.
So my final question for you is, now that you know what you know now, what would you tell someone or yourself? What, like, advice would you give yourself that's like, hey, I wish I would have known this. That would have kind of got me through. But of course, I eventually learned it. But, like, what's that sweet, like, message?
Right now, it's have your life mapped out with details. Right? It's one thing to be like, hey, I want to make $1 million. But the question is, how do you make it? How do you get to 500? Even then, how do you get to $250,000? How do you get to 500? How do you increase that bar?
How do you break down get real specific?
Super specific.
Like, I want those shoes. What color?
What color?
What brand? What is it gonna look like? What outfit you gonna put with it?
Yeah. And when you know that and you constantly put it in front of you, from there you can execute with ease and you know where you're going.
Because as you get specific, you then have your step.
You have your step, and can't nobody derail you but you. Right? So, back to the whole leaf situation. I'd rather be controlled, at that point. Or even then, like a bird. A bird know when it's going to move during certain seasons. And I think we as human beings, we need to know what seasons we plan to be in and how we're going to get there. So if we don't know the signs, right? Because you could be like, I want to make $1 million. Well, prime example, we're in a recession right now. If a recession happens, how you going to make your money?
Because it doesn't mean it's not doable. You just got to get very clear and very specific. And I've always, like, life visioning, but I feel like as you grow in life, you start to learn, like, oh, I got to get more specific. Like, because personally for me, I remember one day, I'd still do vision boards, y'all.
Yeah.
And my friend called me and they're like, Jazz, what are you doing? Because I was clipping pictures from a magazine and
Right.
I had several pages. Like I have like an art book.
Right.
And I had put down like, what is my home going to look like? What is my style going to look like? What shoes will I wear? What accessories will I have? What scents do I like?
Yeah.
What will my table settings like? When I tell you, and I remember my life coach was like, I love that you got that specific. I was like, yeah, but it's the discomforts and the obstacles in life that taught me, even in relationships, that was actually what made me say, I need to get specific because you know how all of the girlies are like, I want Sierra's prayer. And you're like, okay. And I did that one day. I was like, this is the type of man I want. He appeared and I was like, you know what, God? I think I got to get a bit more specific because I didn't think about kindness.
Right.
I didn't think about this aspect. I didn't think about characteristics,
Yeah.
morals. Like, you got to get so deep because I'm like, you getting what you asked for.
Right. Seriously. And that's that whole, it's like a compass, right?
Yeah.
Literally. And that's the whole thing. It's like those details matter. The details matter more than the vision.
Because you can't, the vision can, I feel like the vision gives you a little spark within you to say, oh, I want something different, but you don't become so fixated on it that you don't know how to pivot and evolve.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And even then, in that relationship, at that point, you just knew. Like, you learn, right? And that's the other part about it. So then, all right, detail-wise, let me add this to the list.
Yeah.
Let me tweak this.
Yeah.
Ooh, hey, I thought I wanted somebody nice and sweet. I really like a hard person. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like that.
Type of personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you start to like, that becomes like what life visioning is. It's like, yeah, it comes to you, but you had an opportunity to participate. So like the gratitude and everything that shows up, I'm like, baby, we love it.
Yeah, seriously. And even then, at that point, when you get to those certain points, because I think the vision could be so general, we don't realize how it affects our happiness. Right? You get in, then you're like, I don't think this is for me.
Yeah.
I thought I wanted it. Like, even then, you could be a top in your industry and not have the pay you want.
Yeah.
Or the freedom.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of us forget freedom is very, very important. It's more important than the money.
Yeah.
Happiness is more important than the money.
Do you choose security or do you choose freedom? If you choose security, you kind of lost. Freedom, you get both.
And you want to be intentional about being happy.
Yeah.
Because ain't no point in being in a mansion if you feel all alone.
Yeah. Alex, you left us with some good stuff here today.
Hey, yeah, just trying to spread my word. So I thank you for having me.
Well, thank you. This has been so awesome. You've left us with some great gems. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. And if anything, thank you for pushing me because this is a pivotal point in my life. So I want to thank you for having me. This is just the start. So I appreciate you.
He's just getting warmed up, ladies and gentlemen. Just getting started.
Just getting started.